Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video we're going to be going through Pearson and Edexcel IGCSE January 2023 paper 1HR higher tier mathematics A. Okay, so let's begin. So as usual we have the formula sheet at the beginning of each paper and there's 24 questions. Okay, the table shows information about the frame size in centimeters of 60 bicycles sold in a shop. Write down the mode or class. Okay, so mode means the most common. Okay, it's the most common or the most frequent number. Now, if they're asking for the mode or class, we have to look at the class with the highest frequency, which is this class. So it's going to be, the class will be S is greater than 47 and less than or equal to 54. Okay, next question. Work out an estimate for the mean frame size. So to calculate the mean frame size, what we're going to do is calculate the midpoint of each frame size and multiply it by the frequency. Then add them all together and divide it by the total number of bicycles. Okay, so mean frame size is just another way of saying average. So we take the midpoint of each frame size. So the midpoint of 30 and 36 is 33. Multiply it by the frequency. Add the next row is the midpoint of 36 and 42 is 39. Multiply by 14 plus 45 times 18 plus 51 times 19 plus 57 times 5 and divide it by the total number, the total frequency or the total number of bicycles, which is 60. Okay, if we put the top numerator in the calculator, we get 2,742 divided by 60. And that's equal to 45.7. Okay, so the answer is 45.7 centimeters. Okay, next question. The diagram shows a solid triangular prism. Work out the total surface area of the triangular prism. So what we're going to do is, to work out the total surface area, you need to work out the individual areas of the sides and then add them all together. So let's first work out this triangle, the area of this triangle, and there's 2, so you can just multiply it by 2. So half times 2 times 4.8 times 3.6, because the area of a triangle is half times base times height, and because there's 2, I'm multiplying by 2. Then if we work out the area of, let me just show you, this rectangle here, okay, that's going to be 3.6 times 7, plus if we work out the area of this rectangle, this yellow one, that's going to be 7 times 6, plus if you work out the area of this rectangle, that's going to be 4.8 times 7. Now add them all together. So if we do half times 4.8 times 3.6 times 2, we get 17.28. Plus 3.6 times 7 gives you 25.2, 7 times 6 is 42, and 4.8 times 7 is 33.6. So the total surface area is going to be 118 centimeters squared to 3 significant figures. Okay, it's asking for the answer in 3 significant figures. 118. Next question. Here is a list of 6 numbers written in order of size, so that's really important. It's written in order of size, which means that it's written from smallest to largest. So x is the smallest value, and 12 is the largest value. The numbers have a range of 9, a median of 8, a mode of 10. Work out the value of x, y, and z. Okay, so they've given to us, we're going to write a few equations, okay? They've given us the range, median, and mode. So the range is the largest number minus the smallest number. So 12 minus x equals 9. And we can solve for x now. X equals 3, okay? Median is 8. So median means the middle number. So because this is an even list, so even number, because there's 6 numbers altogether, you have to find the 2 middle numbers, which is y and z, and add them and then divide them by 2. And that gives you the median. So y plus z equals 16. And a mode of 10. Okay, so mode means, as we did in the question earlier, means the most common or the most frequent number. So as you can see here, there's only one 10, okay? So that means for the mode to be 10, there needs to be at least one more 10, okay? And because this is arranged in size, it means that z must equal 10, okay? So z must be 10, because for the mode to be 10, there must be more than one 10. So z is 10. And if we know that z is 10, y plus 10 equals 16, y has to equal 6. So that's going to be it. X is 3, y is 6, and z is 10. Let's fill that out. Okay, next question. Divya and Yuan each pay for a holiday at a special offer price. The amount that Divya pays is the same as the amount that Yuan pays. Work out the value of k. Okay, so let's first work out how much Divya pays for a holiday. Okay, Divya. So the normal price is 1,600, but she's paying 16% off the normal price. So let's first calculate what 16% is of 1,600. And that's going to give you an answer of $256. But she's paying this much less than 1,600 because it's on sale. There's a special offer. So you have to subtract that and you get an answer of 1,344. So Divya pays 1,344 for her holiday. And what it says is that Yuan also pays the same amount as Divya. So that means Yuan pays a sum of $1,344. Now, Yuan's holiday is normally $1,400, but there's also a special offer of k%. So k is the value that we need to calculate. Now, if we work out what k% of 1,400 is and subtract it from 1,400 to work out how much Yuan actually pays, we can then calculate k, okay? So k%, so k of 100 times 1,400, that gives you an answer of 14k. And Yuan pays 1,400 minus 14k, because that's the special offer, so it's k% off the original price. And she pays, we know, she pays the same as Divya, which is 1,344. So now we just need to solve this equation. Minus 14k, if we subtract 1,400 from both sides, we get minus 56, so k equals 4, okay? Number 5. C grams of chocolate is shared in the ratios 2 to 5 to 8. The difference between the largest share and the smallest share is 390 grams. Work out the value of C. Okay, so we have C grams of chocolate altogether and is shared into this ratio. So let's work out how many parts is being split up to this chocolate. Okay, so 8 plus 5 plus 2 is 15. So it's being split up into 15 parts. And what it says here is that the difference between the largest share and the smallest share is 390 grams. So let's work that out. What is the smallest share? So the smallest share is going to be 2/15 of C, okay? Because it's being split up into 15 parts, but the smallest ratio is 2. So it's going to be 2/15 C, and the largest share is going to be 8/15 C, okay? It's going to be 8/15 C. And what they tell us here is that the difference from the smallest and the largest is 390 grams, okay? So if we subtract 8/15 C from 2/15 C, we should get an answer of 390 grams. So now we just need to solve this equation. Oops. Okay, so 6/15 C equals 390 grams. So C is going to equal, if we put that in the calculator, 975. Okay, so C is 975. Okay, next question. Solve the simultaneous equation. X plus 2y equals 15, 4x minus 6y equals 4. Okay, so let's write the equations out. X plus 2y equals 15, 4x minus 6y equals 4. So I'm going to label this equation 1 and equation 2. So our aim here is to get rid of one of the variables. So what I'm going to do is multiply the top equation by 3. So we get 3x plus 6y equals 45. And that's going to be labeled equation 3. And Now, to get rid of one of the variables, what we can do is add these two equations. So if we add equation 3 with equation 2, 4x plus 3x is 7x, plus 6y plus minus 6y is 0, 45 plus 4 is 49. So x is equal to 7. So now we need to find y. We need to substitute it into an equation. So I'm going to substitute it into equation 1. So 7 plus 2y equals 15. 2y equals 8. So y equals 4. Okay? Next question. Write 9.32 times 10 to the minus 5 as an ordinary number. Okay, so if it says times 10 to the minus 5, what we're doing is we're moving the decimal place 5 places backwards, okay? So that'll give you an answer of 0.00000932. And we can check this by starting from the original position here and moving 5 places backward, and it should end up there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And yeah, it ends up in the correct position, so that answer was right. So let me just rewrite that clearly. 0.00000932. Okay, next. Work out 3 times 10 to the 5 minus 6 times 10 to the 4. Give your answer in standard form. Okay, that's important. You have to give your answer in standard form. So, whenever you're subtracting numbers in standard form, what you need to do is make sure that the indices... Oh no. That the indices is the same, okay? But here it clearly isn't. So you either have to make it all to 10 times 10 to the power 4 or to 10 to the power 5. So I'm going to make it to 10 to the power 4 because it's easier to solve. Okay, so we split up 10 to the power 5 into 10 to the power 4 times 10 to the power 1. And then minus 6 times 10 to the power 4. Now 3 times 10 to the power 1 is just 3 times 10, which is 30. Times 10 to the power 4 minus 6 times 10 to the power 4. And that gives you an answer of 24 times 10 to the power 4. But remember, that's not in standard form, so we need to convert it into standard form, and that'll give you 2.4 times 10 to the 5, okay? Next question. Work out 3 times 10 to the 55 multiplied by 6 times 10 to the power 65. Again, give your answer in standard form. Okay? So, when we're multiplying numbers in standard form, you don't need to make sure that the powers are the same. It only applies to addition and subtraction. So here what we can do is just multiply 3 by 6, which is 18. And then when you multiply indices, you have to add them. Okay, so you have to add 55 with 65, which gives you an answer of 10 to the power of 120. Okay, so multiplying indices, you add it. If you divide indices, you subtract it. So it's just indices laws that you need to learn. But it says give your answer in standard form. So that's not in standard form, and we have to convert it. So it'll be 1.8 times 10 to the power of 121. Okay, next question. Factorize fully. 18c cubed d squared minus 21c squared. So we take out the common factor first. What's common in 18 and 21? That's 3. C cubed and c squared, we can take out c squared, d squared and nothing, so there's nothing common. Now what's left in the brackets? 18 divided by 3 is 6, c cubed divided by c squared is c, d squared is left, minus 21 divided by 3 is 7, c squared divided by c squared is just 1. So that's the factorized form. Okay, next question. Factorize y squared minus 3y minus 18. So whenever you're factorizing a quadratic, what you need to do is find two numbers that when you multiply give you minus 18, and two numbers when you add give you minus 3, the coefficient of the y. So that will be minus 6 and 3. Minus 6 times 3 is minus 18, and minus 6 plus 3 is minus 3. Now we just need to put that in brackets. So y minus 6 and y plus 3 is the factorized form. Okay. Hence, solve that equation. Y squared minus 3y minus 18 equals 0. So now that we've factorized it, it's much easier to solve. So we know y minus 6 and y plus 3 equals 0. So now you just need to equate these brackets to 0. So y minus 6 equals 0, y equals 6, y plus 3 equals 0, and so y will equal minus 3. So there's two solutions, minus 6, sorry, not minus 6, 6 or minus 3. Okay. Next question. The diagram shows an isosceles triangle ABC. AB is 7 centimeters, AC equals BC equals y centimeters. So that immediately tells us, that reinforces that it's an isosceles triangle. The area of the triangle is 42 centimeters squared. Work out the value of y. Okay. So we need to work out what y is. So what we can do is, we know that the area of a triangle is half times base times height. So we know the base is 7, we know the area is 42, and I'm going to label this the height, okay? So that's h, the height. Now, once we've worked out the height, to work out y, we can just use Pythagoras theorem, because that's 90 degrees. This is going to be exactly half of 7, because it's bisecting it halfway through. That's going to be 3.5. And so we can work out y using Pythagoras theorem. So let's do it. So the area is 42, half times base, which is 7, times height. So 84 equals 7h, and h equals 12 centimeters. So the height is 12 centimeters. That's 12 centimeters. So now we can just use Pythagoras theorem to work out y. So let me redraw this triangle so it's easier to see. 3.5, 12, and y. So y squared equals 12 squared plus 3.5 squared. Y squared equals 625 over 4. So y is equal to, if I put that in my calculator, 12.5 centimeters. Okay. So y is 12.5. Next question. R and T are points on a circle centre O. RT is 12 centimeters, so that's 12. M is the midpoint of RT, angle ROM is 52 degrees. Work out the area of the circle. Give your answer correct to 3 significant figures. Okay, so we know that, okay, let's work out the, sorry, 1 minute. Okay, let's work out the area of the circle. Let's write the formula first. Area of circle is pi r squared. Okay, so we need r, we need the radius, and they haven't given that to us. So OR is the radius, because it's going from the center to a point on the circumference. And if we extend this line here, OT, that's also the radius. So what this shows is that this is an isosceles triangle, okay? We know that's going to be 52 degrees because these triangles are congruent. And because this is an isosceles triangle, we can work out what angle ORT is. We just need to do 180 minus 52 plus 52, which is 104, divided by 2 to work out this angle here. So if I do that quickly, that's going to give me 38 degrees. So to work out the area of the circle, we need radius. So now that we know these angles, okay, these angles, we can now work out the radius using cosine rule. So they give the formula to you at the front of the test. So let me redraw this triangle and we can work out the radius. So that's radius, that's also radius, that's 104 degrees, that's 12, that's 38, and also that's 38. Okay. Sorry, I'm not going to use cosine rule, I'm going to use sine rule, because we already know a length and 2 angles, so it'll be easier to just use sine rule. Okay, so sine rule is A over sine A equals B over sine B. So r over sine 38 is equal to 12 over sine 104. So r equals 12 over sine 104 multiplied by sine 38. So r is equal to, if I put that in my calculator, 7.61. And so that's also OR. And now that we have the radius, we can easily find the area. So area equals pi times r squared, so 7.61 squared. And if I work that out, we have to give the answer to 3 significant figures. That'll be 182 centimeters squared, 3 SF. Okay. $182. Next question. The table shows information about the time in minutes that 80 patients had to wait to see a doctor. Complete the cumulative frequency table below. Okay, so when they ask about cumulative frequency tables, okay, and you have to calculate it, what you do is you just add the frequencies, okay? So cumulative means accumulation, just means adding, okay? So the first cumulative frequency is going to be 7. Now the next one, it includes 0, 10, and it also includes 10, 20. So that means you just add 10 and 7 together to get 17. The next one is from 0 to 30. So it includes the first one, the second one, and the third one. So you add all of those together, and that will give you an answer of 32. Then you do the same for the rest. So 32 plus 32 is 64. 64 plus 16 is 80. Okay. On the grid opposite, draw a cumulative frequency graph for your table. Okay, so all you need to do now is just plot your results. So cumulative frequency graphs, they always start at 0, 0. And then the coordinates you'll be plotting is 10, 7, 20, 17, 30, 32, 40, 64, and 50, 80. So I've already plotted it for you guys. Now you have to make sure that your curve is very smooth and use a sharp pencil. And because I'm doing it on my iPad, it's really hard to get a smooth curve, so it's quite jagged. But make sure in the real thing you do a smooth, very smooth curve, okay? Now, use your graph to find an estimate for the median. So the median just means half of the total frequency, okay? So you find half of the total frequency. So in this case, it'll be half times 80, which is equal to 40, and then you find the corresponding time, okay, the corresponding x value. So if you read that off my graph, you get 32 minutes. Next, use your graph to find an estimate for the interquartile range. So the interquartile range is the upper quartile minus the lower quartile. Okay, and what do I mean by upper quartile? So upper quartile is just 3/4 of the total frequency. 3/4 of the total frequency, which is equal to 60. And you just, similar to how you did it for the median, you just read off the corresponding time or the corresponding x value. So in this case, on my graph, it'll be 39. Sorry, no, not 49, 39. 39. And for the lower quartile, it's going to be 1/4 of the total frequency. Okay? And that's equal to 20. So you read off the corresponding time, which is 23. And you just subtract those two to find the interquartile range. So I'm going to get 16 minutes. Now, obviously, it's going to vary depending on your graph, but they have like a few values which they can accept. So just remember, interquartile range is upper quartile minus lower quartile. Upper quartile is 3/4 of the total frequency. Lower quartile is 1/4 of the total frequency. Then you just read the corresponding x values and subtract them to get the interquartile range. Okay, next question. Solve 2 to the power minus 4x equals 32. Okay, so when you have these types of questions, what you need to do is make sure that you get them to the same base. So you want to write 32 so that it's 2 to the power of something. So 2 to the power of 5 gives you 32. And now you can easily solve it. So 2 to the power of minus 4x equals 2 to the power of 5. And now you just make the powers equal to each other. Minus 4x equals 5. Divide both sides by minus 4, so x equals minus 5 over 4. Next question. Use algebra to show that 0.381 recurring equals 21 over 55. So these questions, there's a set way of doing it. Okay, you just use the same method each time. So you start off by writing x equals 0.3818181. So you just keep on writing 81 because those are the digits that are recurring. Then you multiply by 10, so 10x equals 3.818181. Multiply by 10 again, so 100x equals 38.181818. Obviously it's continuing. Multiply by 10 again, 381.8181. And you do this until you get to the end. So now we're at the end, so the decimal point will be there. And you have to find which two numbers when you subtract give you 0 after the decimal point. So if you subtract that from that, 1000x minus 10x is 990x, and 381.8181 minus 3.8181 recurring gives you 378, okay, 0.0. And now you solve for x. X equals 378 divided by 990, and if you simplify that, it will give you an answer of 21 over 55. Okay, next question. T equals P divided by R. P is 0.51, correct to two significant figures. R equals 6.3, correct to two significant figures. Work out the upper bound for the value of T. Show you're working clearly. Okay. So here we have P and R. So whenever I see bounds question, I start off by working the upper bound and the lower bound for the variables that they've provided. So for P, if we work out the upper bound and the lower bound, 0.51. So this upper bound and the lower bound. So because this is to two significant figures, the upper bound and lower bound always has to be to three significant figures. It always has to be to one significant figure more. So you add 0.005. Upper bound will be 0.1515 and lower bound will be 0.505. Now if we do the same for R, 6.3, the upper bound will be 6.35, the lower bound will be 6.25, okay? It's to one significant figure more. Now it says work out the upper bound for the value of T. So they've given us the equation, T equals P divided by R, and we need to maximize T. We want to find the greatest value for T. So the way you can do that is by maximizing P, making the numerator as big as possible, and minimizing R, making the denominator as small as possible. And in that way, you get the largest value for T. So the largest value you can get for P, which is upper bound, is 0.515. Divide that by the lower bound of R, which is 6.25. And if you do that, you should get an answer of 0.0824. Okay, so that's the upper bound for the value of T. If they said instead calculate the lower bound for the value of T, what you would do is you would make P very small because you want to minimize this. You would make P very small and you make R very big, and in that way you get the smallest value for T. Okay, so sometimes they might ask the lower bound, and that's what you would do. So T is 0.0824. Cool. Next question. Complete the table of values for y equals x cubed minus 3x plus 2. So this is easy. All you need to do is just substitute minus 2 in this equation for x, and you just put that in your calculator. And when you do that, you get an answer of 0, and do the same for the others. That will be 2 and 4. On the grid, draw the graph of y equals x cubed minus 3x plus 2 for all the values. So now you just need to plot these coordinates onto this graph and join it up, and you should get a smooth curve. Not jagged like mine, but just connect all the points to form a curve. Okay, so that's the black curve here. Next. By drawing a suitable straight line on the grid, use your graph to find an estimate for the solution of 2x cubed minus 3x plus 4 equals 0. Give your answer correct to one decimal place. Okay, so let's write the equation that they've given us here. Y equals x cubed minus 3x plus 2. So when you're finding a solution, okay, when you're finding a solution of an equation, so this is really similar to simultaneous equation. Another way you can do simultaneous equations is you draw the two, if it's a line, if it's two lines, you draw the two lines on graph and then see where they intersect. So in this case, what they're saying is they've given us this equation we've just drawn, and now we need to work out what the equation of the straight line is, draw it, and we find the point where it intersects to find the solution, okay, of this equation. So let's multiply this equation by 2, because then it'll become very similar to this, and then we can see what we can manipulate to get to the final equation. So if we multiply by 2, we get 2x cubed minus 6x plus 4, okay? So that's really similar to 2x cubed minus 3x plus 4, but the difference here is we've got minus 6x, and here we've got minus 3x. So what can we do? So we need to draw a straight line, remember? We need to draw a straight line. So from minus 6x to minus 3x, we add 3x, okay? So the straight line we have to draw is minus 3x, because if you add 3x to both sides, you'll get 2x cubed minus 3x plus 4, okay? But be careful, because remember, here we multiplied by 2. We multiplied this equation by 2. So the actual equation we'll be drawing is minus 3 over 2x, okay? You have to make sure you divide by 2 at the end. Okay, so the line we need to draw is y equals minus 3 over 2x, and I've drawn that for you here in blue, okay? So that's the straight line. And now what we need to do is find where they intersect, which is at this point, and that's minus 1.6. So the solution for that equation is minus 1.6 to 1 decimal place. Okay? So you begin by getting the equation that they've given to you, okay? Using that equation that they've given in the first question, x cubed minus 3x plus 2. And now you need to see how can you get from that equation to 2x cubed minus 3x plus 4. So if it's from x cubed to 2x cubed, you can think about multiplying by 2. Multiply the whole equation by 2. And now from minus 6x to minus 3x, you need to add 3x. But remember that it will actually be minus 3x, because that's the line you're going to draw. And when you add 3x to both sides, you'll get that equation. But at the beginning, we multiplied by 2, so you actually have to divide by 2 at the end to find the equation of the line. And once you've drawn the line, you find where the curve and the line intersect to find the solution of the equation, which is minus 1.6. Sometimes there might be more than one intersection point, and you can see that in loads of simultaneous equations. You have two solutions, so that's when you have a parabola. So if you have if I draw a quick sketch here, if you have a curve and a line, okay, you have 2 points of intersections. So therefore, that's why you have two solutions, okay? It's not in every scenario, but sometimes in simultaneous equations you get two solutions. You can get three solutions, okay? If you have like a cubic. This is an example of a cubic, by the way, the black curve. Okay, next question. The function f is such that f of x equals 2 divided by 3x minus 5, where x is not equal to 5 over 3. Find f1 over 3. Okay, so this is an easy question. They've just substituted x for 1 over 3. So all you need to do is substitute x for 1 over 3 in this equation. So this is equal to 2 divided by 3, 1 over 3 minus 5. So 2 divided by 3 multiplied by 1 over 3 is 1 minus 5. So that's going to be minus 2 over 4, which is minus half. Okay, so the answer is minus half. Find f inverse x. Now, these questions are very common, these inverse questions, and they have a set way of doing it each time. Okay, there's only one method to do this. So you start off by writing y equals 2 divided by 3x minus 5. Okay, so f of x is just another way of saying y. Okay, and now what you need to do is you swap the variables. You swap it. So x equals 2 over 3y minus 5, and you need to make y the subject. Okay, so the 3 steps is you write the equation, y equals whatever the function is, swap the variables and then make y the subject. So let's make y the subject. If we multiply both sides by 3y minus 5, expand the brackets, and now I'm going to add 5x to both sides, and now I'm going to divide both sides by 3x. So y equals 5x plus 2 divided by 3x, so that's the answer. Next question. The function g is such that g of x equals 5x squared minus 20x plus 23. Express g of x in the form ax minus b in brackets squared plus c. So as soon as you see this format, you have to think completing the square. Okay? So all you need to do in this question is just complete the square for g of x, and that'll give you the answer in this format. So let's do that. G of x equals 5x squared minus 20x plus 23. So what the common number in 5x squared and minus 20x is 5. Let's factorize that. Now divide minus 4 by 2. X minus 2 squared. Square it, minus 4 plus 23. 5 in brackets x minus 2 squared. Minus 4 times 5 is minus 20. Minus 20 plus 23 is plus 3. So that gives you the answer. A is 5, B is 2, and C is 3. So it gives you in that exact same formula. So 5 in brackets x minus 2 squared plus 3. Okay, next question. AB equals 4.6, BC equals 8.3, and angle ABC is acute. So angle ABC, I'm going to label it theta. Okay. The area of the triangle ABC is 12 centimeters squared. Work out the perimeter of triangle ABC. Give your answer correct to 3 significant figures. Okay, so if you're going to work out the perimeter, you need to work out what side AC is, because you need to add all the 3 sides to give you the perimeter. Now, to work out side AC, we know that they haven't specified if it's a specific triangle, like isosceles triangle, so we can't assume anything. So we need to work out side, why do I keep on saying angle? Side AC, okay? But we need to work out angle ABC first. We need to work out this angle here first, because once we've worked that out, we can use cosine rule to work out side AC. Okay? So let's work out this angle first. How can we do that? Well, they've told us here that the area of the triangle ABC is 12 centimeters squared, and we have these 2 sides. So immediately you should be thinking about, how do we work out area of triangle? It's not, well, you can make it a right angle triangle by splitting it in half, but it's easier just to use the formula A equals half AB sine theta, and that's given to you in the formula booklet. So the area is 12 equals half multiplied by 4.6 multiplied by 8.3 times sine theta. Theta is what we need to work out. So if we do that, if we solve that, sine theta should equal 1200 divided by 1909, and theta is just going to be sine inverse of that, which is 38.9 degrees to 3 significant figures. It's not very neat. Okay, 38.9 degrees. So now that we've worked out this, it's 38.9 degrees, okay, we can easily work out AC. So let's label AC x. I'm just going to write that here. Let AC equals x. So whenever you're introducing a variable, make sure that you define it, okay? Let AC equal x. Now I'm going to use cosine rule, and they give this to you in the formula booklet. A squared equals b squared plus c squared minus 2bc cos theta. So x squared equals 4.6 squared plus 8.3 squared minus 2 multiplied by 4.6, 8.3 cos 38.9. Now if we solve this, okay, just plug that in your calculator, you should get x squared is 30.66. Don't round just yet, okay? So x is going to give you 5.537. Now keep that in your calculator because you don't want to be rounding too early, otherwise you're going to get an inaccurate value for the perimeter. Okay, so the perimeter is just adding all the three sides now. So perimeter is going to be 5.537 plus 4.6 plus 8.3. And that's going to give you an answer of 18.4 centimeters to 3 significant figures, because that's what they wanted in. Okay, so the answer is 18.4. Solve root 3 in brackets x minus 2 root 3 equals x plus 2 root 3 and give your answer in the form a plus b root 3. Okay, so this is a surds question. Let's start by writing out the equation. So I'm going to begin by expanding the brackets. Okay, so root 3 multiplied by x is x root 3 minus 2 root 3 multiplied by root 3 is minus 6. That's equal to x plus 2 root 3. Now, we're solving for x, so I want to bring all the x's to one side. So let's subtract x from both sides. X root 3 minus 6 minus x equals 2 root 3, and then add 6 to both sides. And now we can factorize x. Okay, so we can isolate it. Root 3 minus 1, and that's equal to 2 root 3 plus 6. X equals 2 root 3 plus 6 if we divide both sides by root 3 minus 1. Okay, but is this in the format that they want? No. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to rationalize the surd. Okay, we need to make sure that there's no surd in the denominator. So how can we rationalize it? We multiply the numerator and the denominator by root 3 plus 1. Okay, so you always multiply by the denominator but change the sign. So if we do that, we get root 3 times root 3 is 3, plus root 3 minus root 3 is just 0, minus 1 times 1 is minus 1. And the numerator, 2 root 3 multiplied by root 3 is 6, plus 2 root 3, plus 6 root 3, plus 6. So x equals 12 plus 8 root 3 divided by 2. And if we divide everything by 2, it'll give you 6 plus 4 root 3, which is exactly in the format that they wanted. So the answer is 6 plus 4 root 3. Okay. Next question. P is inversely proportional to y squared. When y equals 4, p equals a. Find a formula for p in terms of y and a. Okay. So, as soon as you see inversely proportional, directly proportional, you write an equation. So, p is inversely proportional to y squared. So, you do p is inversely proportional to 1 over y squared. Okay? That's how you write inversely proportional. And now we need to make this into an equation. P equals, you substitute the 1 for a k, a constant. So p equals k over y squared. Now we want to get rid of k because they're asking for a formula in terms of y and a only. So you can substitute these values that they've given us. So p equals a and y is 4. So y squared is 16. K equals 16 over a. So if we substitute that back into this equation, p equals 16a over y squared. Okay, so that's going to be the answer. Okay, next. Given also that y is directly proportional to root x, and when x equals a, p equals 4a, find a formula for p in terms of x and a. Okay, so we know we have to use this equation from the part a. P equals 16a divided by y squared. So we know that y is directly proportional to root x. Okay, y is directly proportional to root x. So again, we can write an equation, y equals k. I'm going to use c actually because we used k in the last example. Y equals c root x. So c is just a constant. Now, it says, you have to read the question carefully, it says find a formula for p in terms of x and a. So they don't want y, okay, so we need to substitute the y for something else. And we've worked out here that y is equal to c root x. So let's substitute that in. 16a divided by c root x squared. And if we just expand that, c squared x. Okay, but again, it says the formula has to be in terms of x and a, and there's a c here. So we need to somehow get rid of the c. So let's make c the subject, okay? Let's find out what c is by substituting these values that they've given us. P equals 4a when x equals a. So 4a equals 16a divided by c squared a, because x is a. Now if we multiply both sides by c squared a, we get 4c squared a squared equals 16a. So c squared equals 16a divided by 4a squared. C squared equals 4 divided by a. So c is square root 4 over a, which is 2 divided by root a. Now that we've worked out what c is, we can substitute that back into the original equation. Okay, we can substitute it back in. So p equals 16a divided by 2 divided by root a squared multiplied by x. And if we simplify this a bit, 2 squared is 4, root a squared is a, so 4x of a. And when you divide something, you have to multiply it and flip over that fraction. So that will give you p equals 16a squared divided by 4x. And if we divide by 4, get 4a squared divided by x. So p is equal to 4a squared divided by x. And let's check. It says give a formula for p in terms of x and a. So yeah, we only have x and a and p here. So for these type of questions, it's really important you read it, okay? Read the question carefully, because you have to make sure that you only include variables that they're asking for. So it says give a formula in terms of x and a. So we started off with y, so we substituted c root x to get rid of the y. And now we're not supposed to have a constant in it, so I made c the subject and substituted it back into the equation to get the final formula, okay? Cool. Next question. Here is a sketch of the curve y equals a cos x plus b for 0, x is greater than or equal to 0 and less than or equal to 360. Given that b is greater than 0 and less than 180, find the value of a and b. Okay, so here what I've drawn in blue is the cos x graph. Okay, that's the normal cos x graph. And they've translated it to give you this black curve, which is y equals a cos x plus b. So we need to find what a and b is. So let's first see, where does the curve intersect the x-axis? Here, at 135, okay? And the normal cos x graph intersects the x-axis as 270 degrees. So remember, when you're translating the curve and moving it in the x-axis, you're doing the opposite of what you do in a bracket. So here, for example, if that was plus 70, you would actually be doing minus 70. You will be moving it 70 to the left. Okay, so here what's happening is we're moving the original cos x graph, which intersects at 270, and we're moving it to 135, which is shifting it 135 to the left. But remember, we're actually doing the opposite, okay? So in the bracket, you will write 135 for b. b will be 135, because then, if that's x plus 135, what you're actually doing is you're going to be subtracting 135, which gives you this, okay? So that's why b is 135. And now, if we look at a, what are we multiplying this cos x graph to get to the black curve? So a is you're stretching the y-axis, okay? You're stretching the y-axis. So a normal cos x graph has a maximum of 1 and a minimum of minus 1. But this black graph has a maximum of 2 and minimum of minus 2. So what's happened is that they've stretched this by a scale factor of 2. They stretched the original cos x graph by a scale factor of 2, because it's going from 1 to 2. So a is going to be 2, because if you multiply 1 by 2, it will give you 2. Okay, so A is 2 and B is 135. Next question. The diagram shows a triangular prism, ABCDEF, with a rectangular base, ABCD. They've given you some values. Work out the angle that BE makes with the plane ABCD. Give your answer correct to 1 decimal place. Okay. So I've already drawn it out for you guys, the angle that we need to work out, but let me just explain why that's the angle I've chosen. Okay. Oops. So it says work out the angle that BE makes with the plane ABCD. So begin by drawing the line BE. Okay, draw the line BE, and now we need to find the angle that it makes with plane ABCD. So you can see that ABCD is this. It's this red rectangle that I'm drawing right now. Okay, that's ABC. It's not really straight, but that's basically it. Okay, that's ABCD. Now, when they mean the angle that it makes with the plane ABCD, they mean the diagonal of ABCD. So that's why I've drawn the diagonal. So it's such a common question. This is 3D Pythagoras. It's the angle that it makes with the diagonal of the plane, okay? And the diagonal is BD, is length BD. So then it's just the angle that I've drawn here, okay? That's theta. I'm labeling it theta. Now, how are we going to work this out? So the way I'm going to do it is we have length DE, okay? We have this angle, so I'm going to work out what length AD is. I'm going to work out that length. And once I've worked out that length, I can easily work out BD using Pythagoras theorem, okay? And once I've worked out BD using Pythagoras theorem, I can work out this angle, okay, using trigonometry. So let's do it. And I recommend for these questions, 3D Pythagoras, you draw the triangles out that you're referring to, okay? Because then it's so much easier to visualize it and solve it. So I'm going to first draw this triangle. So that's EDA. It's 2.2. That's 18. And that's AD, okay? So we can use tan 18 is opposite over adjacent. So AD is equal to 2.2 divided by tan 18. So AD is equal to 6.77. So now that we've worked out AD, we can find out what BD is. Let me draw that triangle out. So that's DAB. We've just worked out AD, that's 6.77, and they give you that AB is 6, and we need to work out what DB is. So we can use Pythagoras because it's a right angle triangle. DB squared equals DA squared plus AB squared. So DB squared equals 6.77 squared plus 6 squared. DB squared is 81.845. So DB is equal to 9.05 to 3 significant figures. Okay, and now that I've worked out what DB is, okay, I can use Pythagoras theorem, sorry, not Pythagoras theorem, trigonometry, to work out this angle, theta, okay? Now let me draw that triangle. These are not very good triangles, but I hope you guys understand what I mean. EDB, so that's 2.2, that's 9.05, and that's theta that we need to work out. So tan theta equals opposite, that's opposite and that's adjacent, 2.2 divided by 9.5. So theta is just going to be tan inverse of that fraction, which is 13.7 degrees to 1 decimal place, because they're asking for 1 decimal place. So that's 13.7. Okay. Next question. The diagram shows triangle OAB with OA extended to E. OA is A, let me label that, and OB is B. M is the point on OB such that OM to MB is equal to 4 to 1. N is the point on AB such that AN to NB is equal to 3 to 2. OA to AE is equal to 5 to 3. Find an expression for ON in terms of A and B. So we need to work out this length here. This vector, sorry. Now, let's write a formula for ON. For vector ON. So that's going to be OB, which we know is B, plus BN. Okay, and we need to work out what BN is. So let's begin by working out what BA is. BA is going to be this vector. It's going to be equal to BO plus OA. So BO is minus B and OA is A. And what the question tells us here is that N is the point on AB such that AN to NB is equal to 3 to 2. So they split that line into 5 parts, so that this is 3/5 and that is 2/5. Okay, that's the ratio. So now we can easily work out what BN is because it's just 2/5 of BA. In other words, if we write it as a vector, it's going to be 2/5 of minus B plus A. And now we just need to substitute that into here. So OB is B plus BN, which is 2/5 multiplied by minus B plus A. Now let's simplify this. B, expand the brackets, minus B times 2/5 is minus 2/5 B, and 2/5 plus A is plus 2/5 A. So that's equal to 3/5 B plus 2/5 of A. Okay, so that's vector ON. That's in the simplest form. Okay, next question. Using a vector method to show M and E is a straight line. Okay, let me draw M and E. Oh no, why am I using that pencil? M and E. Okay, we need to prove that that's a straight line. So whenever you have these questions where you have to prove something's a straight line, the method that you use is that you find a vector, M. So here we're going to find ME, and then we're going to find another vector on that line. So I'm going to find MN. And once we find MN and ME, we have to show that it's a fraction of the whole length, ME. Okay, and once we've proven that, we can show that it's a straight line. So that's the process, okay? So let's begin by working out ME. ME is going to be MO plus OE. Okay, it's going to be MO plus OE. So let's write that out. ME is equal to MO plus OE. Okay, and we don't have these vectors, so we need to work them out. We need to work out what OE is first, and MO. So let's work out MO. MO is, let's go back up. So here, the question tells us that M is the point on OB such that OM to MB is 4 to 1. So that they split that up into 4 to 1, so that this is 4/5 and that is 1/5, okay? So that means MB is going to just be 1/5 minus 1/5 of B, because we're going in the opposite direction, okay? So MB is minus 1/5 of B. Sorry, MO is minus 1/5 of B. And no. 1 minute. Sorry. MO is actually 4/5 minus 4/5, because that is length MO. Okay, that's length MO. So it's going to be minus 4/5 of B, not 1/5. Minus 4/5 of B. And now OE, if we go back up and see the vector, OE is going to equal, we draw it out, that's OE, that's going to equal OA plus AE. And they've told us that the ratio of OA to AE is 5 to 3. So if that is vector A, okay, if OA is vector A, this is going to be 3/5 of A. okay, because that's the ratio. It's a 5:3 ratio. So if that's A, then that's going to be 3/5 of A, because we're dividing both sides by 5. So OE, we can write, is OA plus AE, which is A plus 3/5 of A. In other words, 8/5 of A. Okay? So OE is 8/5 of A. Now we can work out what ME is. MO is minus 4/5 of B, and OE is 8/5 of A. Now that we've worked out the long length, okay, we've worked out ME, we can now work out MN, which is the fraction, okay? It's the fraction of the length. So MN is going to be MB plus BN. We worked out what BN is here, okay? That's BN. And MB is just going to be 1/5 of OB, okay? So let's work that out. MN. So MN is equal to MB plus BN. MB is 1/5 of B, and BN, which we worked out earlier, was minus 2/5 B plus 2/5 of A. So now if we simplify this, 1/5 B minus 2/5 B is minus 1/5 B, and plus 2/5 A. Now let's compare these two vectors, okay? So to prove that it's on a straight line. So that's ME and that's MA. Now if we compare it, we can see that 4 times MN gives you ME, okay? Because if we multiply this vector by 4, we get minus 4/5 B plus 8/5 A, which is ME, okay? So it shows that MN is a quarter of ME, which means that it's a straight line, okay? Because they both lie on a straight line, and therefore they're a fraction of each other. MN is a quarter of ME. So yeah, now that we've so let's just write a concluding statement. Therefore, MNE is a straight line. Okay? Cool. So whenever you have these questions, you work out the vector of the long length and then find another length on that same line and then prove that one is a fraction of the other, and that will show you that it's a straight line. Okay? Okay, next question. G is the point on the curve with equation y equals 8x squared minus 14x minus 6, where the gradient is 10. The straight line Q passes through the point G and is perpendicular to the tangent at G. Find an equation for Q and give your answer in the form ax plus by plus c equals 0. Okay. So G is the point on the curve with this equation, and the gradient on that point is 10, and the straight line Q has a gradient that's perpendicular to the straight line Q is perpendicular to the tangent at G, so that means the gradient is going to be negative reciprocal. So if we know that the gradient of this is 10, that means the gradient of this line is going to be minus 1 over 10, okay, because they're perpendicular. So to work out an equation for a straight line, we need the gradient, but we also need a y-intercept. So we have the gradient, but we need to work out what c is. And to do that, we need to substitute some coordinates. Straight line Q, it says that it passes through point G. Okay? So we need to work out the coordinates of point G. How are we going to do that? Well, it says that point G on the curve is where the gradient is 10. So whenever you see a quadratic, you need to differentiate it to work out the gradient, okay? You need to think about differentiation. And once you differentiate it, you can work out the gradient. So that's going to be, you multiply 8 by 2, 16, and then subtract 1 from the power, minus 14. So 16x minus 14, that's going to be equal to 10, because that's the gradient. Okay, so that's the gradient, and that's equal to 10. Now we can solve this equation to find the x coordinate of G, 24 over 16, which, in other words, if you simplify it, is 3 over 2. Oops. My pen keeps on acting so dodgy today. Okay. 3 over 2. So the x coordinate of g is 3 over 2. Now we just need to substitute it into the equation of the curve to find the y-coordinate of g. So if we do that, the y-coordinate is minus 9. So that means the coordinates of g is 3 over 2 and minus 9. Now it says find an equation for q. So q, y equals mx plus c, okay? Now m we know is minus 1 over 10. And now we can substitute 3 over 2 and minus 9 to work out what c is. So if we do that, let me just put that in my calculator real quick. That's going to be minus 3 over 20 plus c is equal to minus 9. And then minus 9 plus 3 over 20 is going to be c equals minus 177 over 20. So the equation of the line is y equals minus 10x minus 177 over 20. But remember, they've told us that we have to give the answer in the form ax plus by plus c. Okay? So we need to make sure that there's no fractions, and because it says all of those are integers, so multiply the whole equation by 20. So we minus 2x minus 177, and now add 2x and add 177 to both sides so that we get this format. Okay, so 2x plus 20y plus 177 is equal to 0. So that's our final answer. Okay, 2x plus 20y plus 177 equals 0. Okay, final question. An arithmetic sequence has first term 8 and common difference 11. The sequence has k terms where k is greater than 21. The sum of the last 20 terms of the sequence is 10,170. Find the value of k and show clear algebraic working. Okay, so we have a sequence, okay? We have a sequence. We don't know how many terms there are, except we know that the variable that's been assigned is k, okay? So k terms. Now, the sum of the last 20 terms, okay? So say that those are the last 20 terms. So the sum of them is equal to 10,170. Now, if we use this equation, Sn equals, that's the sum of the terms, n divided by 2, 2a plus n minus 1d. Okay? Now, this equation is given to you in the formula booklet, so you don't need to learn it. But we know that the sum of the last 20 terms, n is 20, is equal to 10,170. We know that d is 11, because the common difference is 11, okay? But we don't know what a is, as in we don't know what the first term of the last 20 terms is. So this term here, we don't know, okay? So let's work that out. Let's calculate that. And you'll see why once I've calculated it. So 10,170 equals 20 divided by 2, which is 10. And then 2a is what we need to work out, 19 times d, which is 11. Okay, 10,170 equals 10 brackets 2a plus 209. Now if we divide both sides by 10, 1017 equals 2a plus 209. Subtract 209 from both sides and divide by 2, and you'll get a equals 404. Okay, so this term is 404. Okay, that term is 404. And we know that the sequence starts with term 8. Now we need to work out how many terms there are altogether. This just tells you what the term is. It doesn't tell you what place it is in. So we can use the formula a plus n minus 1d, okay, to work out what position 404 is. Okay, so let's do that. We know that the sequence starts with the first term 8, so a is 8, plus n is the position of 404, which we need to work out, and d is 11, the common difference. And that's equal to 404. So if we subtract 8 from both sides, n minus 1 multiplied by 11 is 396. Divide by 11 both sides, that gives you 36. So n is equal to 37. So what this tells us is that this position is 37. 404 is at the 37th position. Okay? 404 is at the 37th position. So how many terms are there between the first term and the 37th term? That's going to be... What is going on? That's going to be 36 terms, okay? So there's 36 terms between the first term and the 37th term, and there's 20 terms between the 37th term and the last term, because it says that was the sum of the last 20 terms. So k is going to be 36 plus 20. That's how many terms there are altogether, which is 56, okay? So the answer is going to be 56. Okay, so I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, please do leave them in the comment section. And please do leave recommendations for papers I should solve next. It could be from any board, AQA, OCR, Edexcel GCSE, Edexcel IGCSE, and any subject, biology, chemistry, maths, physics. Thanks for watching. Please do consider liking the video and subscribing. And I will be releasing a video soon on how I got all 9s in my GCSEs. So there's going to be some useful tips in there, so stay tuned. Thanks again, and see you in the next video. Bye!